Welcome to my channel. Please like, subscribe and share. Lena should have felt relief. But something gnawed at her. Valerie's final act wasn't just a sacrifice, it was calculated. She didn't act out of desperation, she acted with intent. And that meant there were still secrets left to uncover. As Jace drove them away from the city, Lena's grip tightened around the duffel bag. "I need to know why she did it," she finally said. Jace glanced at her in the rearview mirror. Valerie was dangerous, Lena. Maybe she saw the end coming and wanted to clear her conscience. Lena shook her head. She never did anything without a reason. Jace sighed. "Then we need to start digging. But be sure this is what you want. Whatever she was hiding, it won't be simple." Lena knew he was right. But she also knew she couldn't move forward until she found the truth. They stopped at a safe house outside the city. Lena didn't waste time. She dug into Valerie's past, combing through files Jace had stolen from Nathan's database before the explosion. One document stood out, a wire transfer sent to a numbered offshore account just days before Valerie turned on Nathan. The amount was staggering. "She was planning something," Lena murmured, staring at the screen. "This isn't hush money. It's leverage." Jace leaned closer. "She wasn't just cutting ties. She was buying something big. The question is, what?" Lena clenched her jaw. She needed more information. And there was only one person left who might have answers. Lena made the call. "I need to see you," she said. On the other end, Dominic Grayson, a fixer who worked in the shadows of power, was silent for a long moment. "Valerie's dead, and now you come asking questions. I need to know what she was after. I think she left something behind." A chuckle. "You always were a sharp one, Lena. Meet me at the East Pier. Midnight." Jace shook his head when she hung up. "This is reckless. It's necessary." And she wasn't backing down now. The docks were silent except for the waves lapping against the shore. Dominic was waiting, leaning against his black sedan, a cigarette dangling from his lips. "Valerie made a deal before she died," he said, handing Lena a flash drive. "She knew Nathan would eventually turn on her, so she made sure she had something to trade." Lena plugged the drive into Jace's laptop as soon as they got back to the safe house. The files contained encrypted messages, codes Valerie had left behind. One phrase kept repeating, "Project Genesis." Jace's expression darkened. "This isn't just about money, Lena. Whatever she was into, it was bigger than we thought." Lena's stomach tightened. She had just opened a door she wasn't sure she could close. Lena sat across from Jace, the glow of the laptop screen casting sharp shadows on his face. The encrypted files Valerie left behind hinted at something massive, something bigger than money or power. "Project Genesis isn't just an offshore account," Jace said. "It's a classified operation. Valerie wasn't just covering her tracks, she was sitting on a ticking time bomb." Lena clenched her jaw. "Then we need to find out what it was." Jace nodded. "I can crack the encryption, but it'll take time. And the more we dig, the more attention we'll attract. If Nathan's people aren't dead, they'll be watching. Then we need to move fast. Before they do." The next lead brought them to a man named Elias Vaughn, an ex-intelligence analyst turned ghost. He had worked with Valerie years ago before vanishing under mysterious circumstances. If anyone knew what Project Genesis was, it was him. Lena and Jace tracked him to an underground club in Boston, a place where secrets were traded like currency. "Elias Vaughn doesn't talk for free," Jace warned as they walked inside. Lena smirked. "Good thing I don't plan on paying." They found him in a dimly lit corner, whiskey glass in hand, watching them approach. His sharp eyes flickered with recognition the moment he saw Lena. "Valerie Carter's girl," he mused. "She finally went too far, didn't she?" Lena slid into the seat across from him. "Tell me about Project Genesis." Elias exhaled a slow breath. "If you knew what you were asking, you wouldn't be here." "Then educate me," Lena said. Elias leaned forward, his voice low. Project Genesis wasn't just a black ops deal, it was a way to erase people from existence. Identities, records, entire histories wiped clean. Valerie wasn't trying to buy protection. She was trying to disappear. Lena's stomach tightened. Disappear from who? Elias glanced around before whispering, from people who don't forgive mistakes. Jace's fingers tightened around his glass. Meaning Nathan wasn't the real threat. Elias nodded. He was a pawn. Just like Valerie. Just like you. Lena's pulse pounded. Valerie had spent her whole life controlling others, yet in the end, she had been running from something far worse than Nathan. Jace's laptop pinged, a new decrypted file from the flash drive. A name flashed across the screen, Dominic Grayson. Lena shot Jace a look. We just met him. Jace frowned. And now we know he's lying. Lena grabbed her coat. We need to find him. Now? Time was running out, and the truth was closing in faster than she could run. Lena and Jace wasted no time. Dominic Grayson had fed them information, but now they knew he was a piece of the puzzle they hadn't considered dangerous enough. That changed now. Jace ran a quick location trace. He's in the city. Midtown. Looks like a corporate building, probably his front. Lena strapped her gun to her side. Then let's pay him a visit. The ride through the city was silent. They both knew they were walking into something that could change everything. Dominic had given them just enough to make them curious, but now they needed the whole truth. Jace parked a few blocks away. Security's light, but that doesn't mean it'll stay that way. He knows we'll come. Lena stepped out, adjusting her coat. Then let's make sure we don't give him a chance to run. They walked into the building like they belonged. A receptionist greeted them, but before she could ask questions, Jace flashed a fake badge, murmuring something about a scheduled meeting. She waved them through without hesitation. The elevator ride felt like an eternity. Lena watched the numbers climb, her heartbeat steady but expectant. When they reached the top floor, the doors slid open to reveal an empty office space. No staff. No guards. Just Dominic Grayson sitting at a desk, waiting for them. You move fast, he said, a smirk tugging at his lips. I expected you to take a little longer. Lena walked forward. No more games. What was Valerie running from? Dominic leaned back in his chair. You already know the answer. But you want to hear it from me. Jace crossed his arms. Project Genesis wasn't just about erasing people. It was about erasing power. Valerie was involved in something way above her head, and now Lena's caught in the crossfire. Dominic sighed, rubbing his temples. She was trying to buy her freedom. But some debts don't get paid with money. Lena's stomach tightened. Who was coming after her? Dominic hesitated. Then he reached into his desk drawer and slid a folder across the table. She wasn't running from Nathan. She was running from them. Lena flipped it open. The first page held a name she had never seen before, but it sent an immediate chill through her spine. Lena scanned the files while Jace looked over her shoulder. The documents detailed covert operations, assassinations, and untouchable figures. But one name stood out more than anything. The Black Chamber. Jace let out a low breath. That's not real. It's a ghost. Dominic chuckled darkly. It's as real as the air you breathe. And it has eyes on you now. Lena gritted her teeth. So what did Valerie do to make them want her dead? Dominic tapped the folder. She took something from them. Something irreplaceable. And now they think you have it. Lena's blood went cold. What did she take? Dominic's smirk vanished. The one thing more valuable than money or power. A name. The name of someone they thought was dead. Jace stepped forward. Whose name? Dominic exhaled. Her real father. And he's still alive. Lena froze. Everything she knew had just been shattered. Again. Lena took a step back, her mind racing. Valerie had lied to her about a lot, but this? This was bigger than anything she could have imagined. Who is he? She whispered. Dominic hesitated. I can't tell you that. Not yet. If they find out you know, you won't make it out of the city. Jace clenched his fists. Then what do we do? Dominic grabbed a pen and scribbled an address on a napkin. You have one chance to get ahead of them. There's a safe house outside DC, someone that can tell you everything. But if you go, you don't come back. Lena took the napkin, heart pounding. She had spent her whole life trying to escape Valerie's control, only to find out she had never even known the full truth. Now, it was her turn to chase answers. And she wasn't stopping until she had them all. Lena and Jace left the city under the cover of darkness, heading toward the address Dominic had given them. The air inside the car was thick with tension. Neither of them spoke much, both lost in the implications of what lay ahead. The safe house was deep in the woods, barely a dot on the map. The moment they arrived, Lena felt the weight of unseen eyes watching her. Someone was expecting them. Jace pulled the car into the driveway of a weathered cabin. A single light flickered inside. "This is it." Lena nodded. "We go in together. Stay sharp." She knocked once, twice. The door creaked open, revealing an older man with piercing blue eyes and graying hair. His expression remained unreadable as he stepped aside, silently inviting them in. "You came," he said. "Valerie always said you would." Lena froze. "You knew Valerie?" He sighed, motioning to the worn-out couch. "Sit down, and I'll tell you everything." The man introduced himself as Malcolm. Not his real name, but it didn't matter. What mattered was what he knew. Valerie was never just some manipulative woman controlling your life. She was working against something much bigger. She knew if she told you the truth too soon, you'd be in danger. Lena clenched her fists. "She let me believe she was the villain." "Why?" Malcolm exhaled. "Because the alternative was worse. The Black Chamber had been hunting her for years, and if they knew you existed, they would never have stopped." Jace leaned forward. "So, what is Project Genesis?" Malcolm's gaze darkened. "Not what you think. It wasn't about power. It was about survival. Valerie stole something crucial from the Black Chamber, a list of people they were supposed to eliminate. High-profile targets. Corrupt officials. Agents who went rogue. But there was one name she was protecting above all." Lena felt her stomach drop. "Whose name?" Malcolm locked eyes with her. "Yours." Silence stretched between them, the weight of his words sinking in. Lena shook her head. "That doesn't make sense. Why would I be on their list?" Malcolm leaned back. "Because you were never supposed to be born." Chapter 44, The Forgotten Experiment. Lena's breath hitched. "What are you saying?" Malcolm hesitated, then pulled out a worn file from a hidden compartment under the table. "Your mother wasn't who you thought she was. She wasn't just Valerie Carter. She was a deep asset within the Black Chamber. One of their most valuable operatives, until she betrayed them." Jace frowned. "Why would she do that?" Malcolm slid the file to Lena. "Because of you. You were part of an experiment. They wanted to create the perfect agent, engineered from birth to be undetectable. But Valerie refused to let them turn you into a weapon. She stole you away, erased your existence from their system, and disappeared." Lena's hands trembled as she flipped through the documents. Scans. Genetic modifications. Training regimens. And then, a classified order: terminate Subject 12 if found. She was Subject 12. Chapter 45, The Last Betrayal. The pieces of her life shattered into place, forming a picture she wasn't ready to see. Valerie wasn't just protecting me. She was hiding me. Malcolm nodded. "And the moment you resurfaced, the Black Chamber knew. That's why they came for her. They wanted to finish what they started." Jace rubbed his temples. So Valerie made herself the target to keep Lena safe. She wanted them looking at her, not at Lena. Lena's mind reeled. And Nathan? He wasn't just after power, was he? He was working for them. Malcolm confirmed it with a slow nod. He wanted you alive, but only to be controlled. If they couldn't kill you, they'd make you theirs. Lena swallowed hard. Everything Valerie had done, every manipulation, every forced decision, had been to keep her alive. And now, she was the last loose end. Jace turned to Lena. "What now? We can't just hide forever." Malcolm stood, walking to a safe. He turned the lock, revealing a single drive. "There's one way to end this. Expose them. This has everything. Names, locations, operations. If this gets out, the black chamber burns. Lena took the drive, her pulse quickening. If I do this, they'll never stop hunting me. Malcolm smirked. They already won't. At least this way, you take them down with you. Lena looked at Jace. Are you with me? He smirked. You already know the answer. They had one shot. One chance to bring the whole thing crashing down. And they weren't going to miss. The upload started. Encrypted, sent through layers of proxies. The moment the files went live, the world would know the Black Chamber existed. But the Black Chamber wasn't going down quietly. The house phone rang. Malcolm answered. His face darkened. They know. They are coming. Lena shoved the drive into her pocket. Then we make our stand. The sound of engines roared outside. Shadows moved through the trees. The war had begun. Bullets tore through the cabin. Jace pulled Lena behind cover as Malcolm fired back. The Black Chamber was here to silence them for good. Lena grabbed a rifle from the table. No more running. We end this. Jace covered her as she moved, precision in every shot. They had trained her to be perfect. Now, they would regret it. One by one, their enemies fell. But then, a single gunshot rang out. Malcolm staggered, blood blooming across his chest. Go, he choked out. Finish it. Lena clenched her jaw. There was no turning back. She ran to the car with Jace, the Black Chamber's last operative standing in her way. A woman, dressed in black, gun raised. You should have stayed hidden, Subject 12. Lena didn't hesitate. She fired first. The files went public within hours. The world learned the truth. Governments denied it, but the damage was done. The Black Chamber fell. Its leaders vanished, its operatives scattered. Lena stood on a rooftop, the city sprawling below. What now? Jace asked. She exhaled. We rebuild. And we make sure no one ever controls us again. Jace grinned. Sounds like a plan. As the sun rose, Lena stepped forward, free for the first time in her life. And for the first time, she wasn't running. She was ready to fight for a future of her own making. Thanks for watching, don't forget to subscribe.